Okay, everybody, welcome back. As usual, for anybody who's come to this conference, was that not a delicious meal? So can we please give Jasper Park Lodge staff a tremendous round of applause? As I said before, tonight is about our volunteers. No organization can stand the test of time and overcome challenges without the dedication of people like you. If we could take a quick second and ask everyone here tonight who serves on either a local, provincial, or national association board or committee to please stand and be recognized. Your partnership or your participation has shaped our industry, and we thank you. So please, anyone who sits on a local, provincial, national board or committee, please stand and be recognized. For those of you not standing, we're taking notes. We're going to have some positions opening up in the very near future, so be ready for the call. One of BILD Alberta's guiding principles is to honor the past and build the future. We are pleased to honor the past by recognizing former presidents and chairs from the legacy associations that came together to create BILD Alberta. Those would be the Canadian Home Builders Association of Alberta and the Urban Development Institute of Alberta. These industry leaders are easy to identify. You can spot them by the medallions they wear in recognition of their time serving as chair of the provincial association. Joining us tonight in person are the following past chairs. We ask that you please stand when you hear your name, and please hold your applause for the end. From 2005, John Horenko. Okay, we can clap for each one. We can do that, yeah. They each deserve it, yeah. From 2011, Greg Christensen. From 2013, Dave Hoagie. From 2016, Ryan Scott. A double dipper from 2017 and 2020, Patrick Shaver. From 2021, Paul Boscovich. And as of yesterday, your 2022 past chair, Fraser DeWall. Thank you very much for all of you who've kind of sat in that position. And I think I'm constantly amazed with how many of these past chairs remain really quite active within the organization in one way or another, even after they've gone off boards. John Horenko, I see at almost every single CHBA Edmonton event or meeting. Whenever they're held, John is there. He's imparting his vast industry knowledge on the next generation. Greg Christensen remains a steadfast supporter of the industry and this association. He's constantly getting me involved and out to meet elected officials and other people within his vast Rolodex, all to make sure we're working towards the betterment of the industry as a whole. Dave Hoagie is well known for his mentorship and leadership, which continues to shape so many within this industry. I'll get to the, Ryan and Paul and Fraser and them later, but thank you again very much for everything that you've done. So we have 4 awards to hand out, starting with the presentation of the Community Service Award. This award is presented to a company that demonstrates compassion and service to the community. Fraser, could you please join me on stage to help with these presentations? This year's award is presented to Jamin Built for their volunteer efforts to support literacy and education campaigns. The Jamin Built team collected book donations to be used at the Big Book Sale for Calgary Reads. They had Chairman and CEO Jay Westman join the kindergarten class via Skype to read a classic story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, for the Edmonton Public Schools Foundation. and he participated in the Chromebooks for Kids program to help children access education from home and ensured that 34 students received a new Chromebook. In addition, for the past 8 years, they have been the title sponsor, raising awareness and funds for MS Walks in Alberta and the Northwest Territories. This sponsorship has helped raise over $1 million through the sponsorship commitment, employee donations, and team fundraising. They encouraged employees to walk in their community with family and competed in a Battle of Alberta to see which Jamin Joggers team could raise the most donations, where they doubled the amount raised compared to 2020. So please join me in congratulating this year's recipient of the Community Service Award, Jamin BILD. Our next presentations are to individuals that have played a vital role in supporting BILD Alberta in moving its provincial initiatives forward to make the land development and residential construction industry better. The first of these awards is the Exceptional Service Award, and we are delighted to present this award to an individual in recognition of their dedication and service to the association. With over 27 years of experience, this individual has provided expertise on the Provincial Residential Technical Committee, both nationally and here in Alberta for BILD Alberta. His expertise and deep understanding of home construction has assisted both in the provincial and national associations as providing Alberta's voice on behalf of the industry, continually making advancements and innovations in building code. It's a significant time commitment for anybody who fills our spot at the national table on building codes. It's once a month for 4 hours a day, but beyond that, you're reading reams and reams and reams of information to get caught up and be knowledgeable of what's happening, and then to be able to speak on behalf of our building industry here. So it is a huge commitment, and I'm very pleased to make this presentation and provide this award to Dean Gwydolin of Hopewell Residential. The next award is our Industry Leader Award, which is presented to an individual whose efforts to promote the objectives of the association have contributed to advancing the industry and strengthen the association. One of the leaders of the merger of UDI Alberta and CHBA Alberta, this person has always been a leader for the industry, the association, and energy efficiency housing in Alberta. Since finishing his term on the BILD Alberta board, he has remained engaged with various committees in Calgary and recently agreed to chair the steering committee of BILD Alberta's Accelerate Net Zero initiative. His leadership, knowledge, innovation, and passion will be a driving force in helping us figure out the solutions to building affordable net zero housing in the future. We are thrilled to present the award tonight and the Industry Leader Award to Ryan Scott of Avalon Master Builder. So now we've reached the highlight of our volunteer awards, the Hall of Fame induction. Our Hall of Fame inductee has served on numerous committees at the national, provincial, and local levels. One of the first times I really got to spend time with this individual was in 2017. I think we were in Ottawa for national meetings. And at that time, I didn't really have a firm grasp of kind of building codes, how they were developed, the process behind them. And I always try to learn and understand those things to then, again, better work on behalf of members. So I was really eager to sit down with this person to gain an understanding of kind of how it all works. So over the next 10 minutes, he proceeded to draw and explain the most complex Frankenstein of a flow or Gantt or whatever chart it could possibly be. There were arrows, ellipses, exclamation points, equal signs. So as he finished, he kind of looked up and looked back at me, and I can only imagine what he was seeing. Just a complete look of bewilderment, sheer terror, and panic. But he was patient, and since that time, he's continued to impart his incredible knowledge, not only on myself, but other industry members and the BILD Alberta staff. He's taught me just enough on building codes to be dangerous, but's always there to kick me in the ass before I say anything stupid. He is continuously working with industry on codes and standards to influence the direction of codes in Alberta. He's spent countless hours reviewing codes to streamline processes to maintain housing affordability without compromising the safety of a home. He could easily keep this knowledge to himself as a competitive advantage, but he doesn't. He shares it willingly with any member who asks for it, and it is for the betterment of our industry and the residential construction in this province. I cannot possibly overstate his positive impact on government decision makers at the local, provincial, and national levels. And I think every single person in this room, and whether you know it or not, has benefited from his work, either in costs you've saved in building a home or the affordability of the housing that so many of us live in. So ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate this year's Hall of Fame inductee, Keith Jansen of Lincolnberg Master Builder.
It's only one page, big type. Anyway, I wanted to say some thanks. Shouldn't have done this because you made me blush. Anyway, a couple of people I want to thank. Obviously, Joan Maisonneuve, who lied to me many years ago when she recruited me to be the national TRC rep. That's what Dean does today. She lied to you. Right? She said something like, it's only an hour, one meeting a week or one meeting a year in Ottawa, and maybe a couple of conference calls. She didn't tell me that I needed to keep my mouth shut, a problem I have, at meetings, and otherwise you get voluntold. Anyway, Joan, thanks for nothing. The other person I want to thank is my work mentor, Louis Nakatsui. Louis was one of the founding partners of the Lincolnberg Group. He recruited me off the side of the 401 30 years ago, brought me out to Alberta. I came to Lincolnberg to help with their first condominium project, but things transpired such that I became a partner with them, with Louis and his partners, and now with their kids. Louis had this curiosity about everything. He would always ask about how could we do things better, cheaper, faster. He always had this sense of giving back. He was a member on the national TRC, so the roles that Dean and I have done, Rick Gratton has done. He was a member on CCBFC. He was a chair of the National Home Builders Association. Louis, thanks for, I know Louis isn't here tonight. Louis, thanks for seeing some reason for hiring me way back in 1992 and bringing me out to Alberta, for being so much of an educator, being so good to my family, and I owe you so much. And then thanks to my business partners, to Stephen, Wes, and Greg, for letting me work more than half of my time on building code. They don't know it, but they don't have to know. And obviously I want to thank my family for putting up with code talk at the Sunday dinner table. It happens a lot. Karine and I have 3 children. 2 of them were in the business for a while. 1 is still in the business. And the other one became a mechanic. I don't know why. Anyway, as you can appreciate, the conversation around the Sunday table, most of the time revolved around building codes, and sometimes around cars. So finally, obviously, I want to thank the love of my life, and no, that's not the building code, the National Building Code of Canada, Alberta edition. That's my wife. Karine, thank you so much for the support that you bring to our life, that you've being so patient with the work that I do. When I was in the office, So in the early days, because we didn't have internet and computers and all that kind of stuff, so I just went back to work. I went home for supper and hugged the kids and went back to work. For letting me go to Ottawa on a couple days' notice, for listening to me talk about how the code came to Alberta. That was a conversation about the British North America Act and Confederation. COVID let us do a lot of things when working from home. Anyway, thanks for this. You guys shouldn't have, but I enjoy what I do and hope to do it for a long time. Thanks.
So in my eagerness to hand out the awards, I forgot I was supposed to give Ryan an opportunity to speak. So we're bringing him back. Come on up.
Thank you. I kind of thought I got away with that one. It was kind of nice and quick, and you were blocking the podium. It worked really well for me. So leadership. To me, that's persistence. It's having a vision, and it's supporting the group you work with. And I thought I'd do a good example of that. We have a bar out there, and it seems we've got a vision. We're going to drink that thing dry. And day one didn't happen. Day two, still got booze there. So I kind of challenge y'all. Day three, probably need to make this vision happen. And in support of all of us, I think that's something we need to do. So that's my talk on vision. It's short, it's sweet, it is what it is. So thank you for forcing that on humanity.
Well, I think we're all better for bringing you back up, Ryan. So, thank you. So congratulations to all our honorees. You are the reason the association has achieved so much for its members. You are invaluable to the industry, and you've set the example that will inspire future leaders. Speaking about leaders, we have a few more people we'd like to acknowledge tonight. The pandemic impacted our ability to gather and recognize these individuals in front of their peers, and we'd be remiss if we didn't take the time in acknowledging them tonight. I always say to my wife when we kind of talk about the things we like about our jobs, things that you might find frustrating, but one of the things I say that's always the best part of what I get to do is I get the opportunity to work with some of the most intelligent and passionate individuals that this province has to offer. Not only do I get to rely on them in making critical decisions, but I also get the opportunity to learn and continuously improve professionally from them. I can think of no point that this was more important than the last 3 years. While each deserve individual recognition, and we'll be doing that, these three individuals collectively worked to bring this association from a pretty precarious place to one of incredible stability. So as you can see, for tonight, we have a basketball theme for the evening. Just like being the captain of a basketball team, being the board chair, you have to rely on your teammates, both at the board, in the office, and throughout the year. So with that in mind, we have some exciting player announcements to make for the past few seasons, and now I'll turn it over to BILD Alberta Sports Centre for the updates.
Welcome to another edition of BILD Alberta Sports Centre Update, your source for Alberta's latest sporting and industry news. Brought to you by Bosco Mule. Kickstart your day with the Bosco Mule. Wheaties, where champions begin their day. And Patricola, what keeps you up at night? And now, here's your host, Kevin Carius.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to another edition of BILD Alberta Sports Centre. I'm Kevin Carius. Thanks for joining me. I'm here live from the courts in beautiful Summerwood in Sherwood Park. We have a wild lineup of activities for you with the recent signing of a new free agent. These past 2 years have been an absolute doozy with players in and out of quarantine and teams playing virtually to get through the season. It's hard to believe that this team is only 5 years old in its short time. It has a new head coach, a team that has been put through the ringers like everyone else during this pandemic, and it's had an amazing group of volunteers stepping up during a time that no one knew what was around the corner in nearly 2 years. We've seen the BILD Alberta team online and more recently in person, making sure that the league's priorities were always front and center with key government stakeholders. I am sure many of you probably heard about these activities during yesterday's annual meeting. We are excited to talk about a handful of players that you may have seen being traded over the years as the deadline looms for the 2022-23 season that we anxiously await to see who will be traded to the BILD Alberta team. We start first with a player who has been part of the team since the inaugural BILD Alberta season in 2017. He was sidelined due to injury in 2018. During that time, he trained vigorously to assume the position of captain of the team in 2019. And being captain of this newly formed team takes tremendous amount of dedication and time away from work and family. This player was meeting regularly with staff and government officials to ensure that the association was at the forefront of any industry discussions. This individual led the team through government change and the development of the strategic plan and organizational change under its new brand, BILD Alberta, all while mentoring rookie coach Scott Fash. By now, many of you know that we are referring to Patrick Shaver, president of Avilia Developments. Over the past few years, Patrick and his team have grown with several projects across the capital region and also in the Okanagan area. Earlier today, we caught up with Patrick's teammates and fans to find out a bit more about the star player.
Patrick is a tremendous leader, coach. He's always promoting and driving for success. He's that guy that tells you, don't take the 2-point shot, drive for the 3-point line and make the basket.
One of the things I admire about Patrick is his commitment to the industry. So, the team, the league overall, the sport of land development and home building.
I'd like to continue on with the coach theme, and as an MVP even, one might say, is that he's always willing to challenge the rules and take on the refs.
Patrick's one of those guys that not just a leader and a risk taker in what he does for a living, but also he finds a way, as we just found out last month, his son was winning awards in high jumping and a track and field, and he finds the time to put it all together. We golf, we have fun, he works hard, but always time for his family and always on his mind because we've gotten to know the Shavers through Patrick and his experiences with his kids.
One thing we love about Patrick is his loyalty and commitment to his team and to his family and to the industry. He's really the person you want in your corner. He's our coach, our cheerleader, and also our hockey mom.
One thing Patrick does do well is he does not follow the playbook. He creates his own playbook, and he does that especially at 3 a.m.
I've received a few emails at crazy hours of the evening, and for Patrick, I'm not surprised. He's always working, he shows good leadership, so I'm sure his mind is not resting for very many hours a evening.
I've learned a lot from him, and one of the things that I admire most about him is his entrepreneurial spirit. He's very much a forward strategist, and he's always on the offense in the game.
Patrick is really focused on building and establishing strong relationships, working on establishing his network and nurturing that. And for the betterment of not only Avilia, but for the industry as a whole.
Patrick has really given of himself over the years, and one area in particular that I worked with him on was on the Municipal Government Act review. And we both worked together side by side for a number of years and through dozens of meetings and the prep time that it took to do that. And his contribution of staying covering what industry needed and what was going to be most supportive to our industry was fabulous there, and the research and the homework that it takes in here. And Patrick's always one for doing his homework beforehand, especially when you get into levies. He's super passionate when we get into levies and talking about the models and talking about accountability for municipalities. And I think that's really where he's been a champion, is trying to hold municipalities accountable for the dollars that come in levies, and really that's a wonderful thing for our industry. So he's super passionate about that.
There you have it, sports fans. A true inspiration to those on his work team and an industry leader to those who followed. Here to reflect on his most memorable accomplishments is BILD Alberta. Welcome former team captain Patrick Shaver.
Talk about you first, and then you get to talk, okay? I'm not losing this opportunity. I think that gave a good little snippet of Patrick and who he is, and a couple of things. One, he is absolutely a night owl. As you can see by the branding and the Patrickola, he does really like Coca-Cola, and I dare you to try and give this man a Pepsi. I have been to numerous lunches where a server attempts to, and the look on his face, it's kind of scary. But in all honesty, Patrick is truly devoted to this industry. He was actively involved with UDI Alberta as a volunteer board member and eventually its chair. He was part of the team that helped the shaping of this organization, BILD Alberta. Personally, I always can count on Patrick to represent industry. He is a land developer through and through, and I think as Russ alluded to, he can talk endlessly about shallow utilities, off-site levies, and development agreements. But I also witnessed someone take the time to learn and understand all aspects of this industry, whether you were a builder, a trade, a renovator, or a supplier. So whenever I have a meeting with government and need an industry representative, Patrick is generally the first person I call, even though he's not even on the board anymore. I do that because I know I can count on Patrick to represent the entirety of the industry and do so in a way that resonates with elected officials, really in a way that I've never seen. So, Patrick, I want to thank you for being our 2019-2020 team captain during a time of so many unknowns. Your steadfast leadership kept our board and association moving in an incredibly positive direction. So I'd love to hear your thoughts now. I'm done. You can go now. So please, Patrick, come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Scott. If you know me, usually I'm not for a loss of words. I like to say someone talks a lot if they talk more than I do. So I'm really moved. I'm moved by Scott, you, the entire BILD team, the BILD board, my wife, who's my partner with the company. Tonight we've got Dustin and Jill from my office that you saw on the screen, and the rest of the Avilia team. And I'm grateful. I'm joined by my 3 kids here today. It was an interesting time, and that was just incredible. But you know, it's a sports thing. I love it, as Kevin alluded to. So, I was last chair of the UDI Alberta, and then part of the new BILD Alberta team. Wendy J. Bush was our first chair. Wonderful lady, wonderful job. So I was going to be following her footsteps. And as some of you may be aware, I had an eye injury, which prevented me from doing a number of things, including traveling, just because of the way that the treatment and the operations are. And then Steve Bonchi, who's unfortunately not with us tonight, slid into my place as chair that year. And then after that, I took over as chair the following year, so third year. I will make this quick. I know Laura said I only have 25 minutes, so I'll oh, sorry, Laura. She's like, no, which usually means I got 35 minutes. But it was an interesting time because I came on chair. Within the first month, we had a change in leadership in BILD. Scott came in as interim leader, and then we worked through a number of things, looked out to the industry, really hard to find the right people, the right person to lead the organization internally. And we had that person right there. That was Scott. We did not miss a beat. Scott picked up where he was, as Russell had said on there on the MGA. We sat on the MGA committee. Scott was with CHBA Alberta at the time. He represented CHBA. We knew each other from back then. And he picked up and we ran with it. And then March 2020, I think you all know what happened there. Something else, you know, as this morning, I believe it was our keynote speaker had said, you know, we talk about a world pandemic just like it's something that you talk about going, you know, get your groceries, right? I mean, but it happened, it was real, and it was scary. It changed for, I mean, all the organizations. Again, I have to give so much credit to my team, my staff, for sticking with me on that. They were not easy years. And we had the same thing. We were running in parallel with BILD. And anyways, you know, two things I want to kind of mention that affected BILD is, one is the organization, both the team, both Scott, Pam, and Lauren. I mentioned because there were 8 people when I started with BILD. Again, we had lost one person in October. We lost another 4 that we had unfortunately had to let go because of the pandemic, and we're down to 3 staff. But I have to thank the board, the staff of Pam and Laura and Scott, but also Bryce Milliken, who's here tonight, Colin Campbell, Fraser, Paul, Sue Keating, and of course Scott Pravitz, who's been on every board since I've known, from Fort McMurray, wonderful. We would meet almost weekly. We would talk, we would work at things, and it wasn't me as chair, it was us as a group that kept the construction industry going, that kept homes being built, that kept land being developed, that kept renovators renovating. We did all that. And I just want to say, you know, you are as strong as your team. I had a phenomenal team. So anyways, let's give a round of applause for the board that was on during the pandemic. And again, like I said, I'll keep it short and sweet. That was incredibly moving. It's a wonderful group of people. Scott said, you know, if you're not involved, get involved. I'd love to see people out here. You guys are here. You are supporting BILD. Talk to your municipalities, talk to the builders, talk to the renovators. It's through communication, information, relationships that we do move forward, that we get things. And I look back from 5 years from where BILD started and where we are today, and I think it's incredible. So just want to say thank you, everyone.
So before you go back, Patrick, we have one more thing. We would like to present you with a jersey for your work on the BILD Alberta team. Okay. Now, Kevin, I understand we have another player for you to tell us about.
Thanks very much, Scott. Our next captain came in covered in PPE and had big boots to fill when he took over. But this player excelled at continuing to build on the momentum that the team had. He persevered and adapted to challenges that were constantly presented over the next year. This captain is no stranger to extremes, having been a former alpine ski racer. He competed in downhill, Super G, slalom, and giant slalom, where there were vertical drops up to 1,100 meters and top. Thanks very much, Scott. Our next captain came in covered in PPE and had big boots to fill when he took over from Shaver in the fall of 2020. Now, many only knew him by Zoom, but this player excelled at continuing to build on the momentum that the team had. He persevered and adapted to challenges that were constantly presented over the next year. This captain is no stranger to extremes, having been a former alpine ski racer. He competed in downhill, Super G, slalom, and giant slalom, where there were vertical drops up to 1,100 meters and top speeds could reach up to 160 kilometers per hour. Having to pivot quickly to keep the team on course, this individual soared to new heights to lead us through the best summer ever. That's right, sports fans. I'm talking about Paul Boscovich from GenStar. We understand that as soon as Paul finished up as captain of BILD Alberta, he was quickly scooped up with a recent promotion to President of Canada and California Communities at GenStar. We turn to his current team and colleagues to find out what makes this captain tick.
Paul's always looking for input from his team. He's never intending to dictate a solution. He always wants to hear from everybody, understand the various points of view, and then arrive at the best decision.
Paul is one of the most determined guys I've ever met. He just never gives up. For instance, when I was trying to teach him to ski, I'd have him tethered and he'd just keep falling down, like yard sales, skis everywhere. And at some point I was like, Paul, let's just call it a day. But he would keep getting up and his little baby fawn legs would wobble and he just wouldn't give up. He wouldn't let me go back to the chalet, have a beer. He's just determined. He never gives up.
Paul and his family are avid skiers. Every weekend they're out ski racing, probably après skiing. Besides traveling, mountain biking, he sometimes tries to golf. But really, Paul is a family man.
What I've seen Paul do is he loves to ski, which obviously I taught him. He's a big family guy, got 3 beautiful kids, a wife that's way above his class.
Paul can turn his intensity on and off. He's always happy to start a conversation with a funny joke, a short story, or an anecdote, then right down to business, but can always bring it back on the social level at the end.
Lee, can you tell me, what do you admire most about this team captain?
Oh, that he only comes to Edmonton once a year. He trusts me enough to run with it, and yeah, I only have to put up with him in person in Edmonton once a year. No, but in all seriousness, it's his hair. I love his hair. He's got the salt and pepper look down to an art, and it's beautiful.
Hi, Paul. I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done for our industry, both with BILD Calgary as well as BILD Alberta. Your dedication is admirable, not only to our industry, but as well to your friends and family. And I'm very lucky to be able to call you a friend. So thanks, Paul.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Marcello Chiacchia, and I am the Vice President of Calgary Communities for GenStar Development Company. Unfortunately, the day I was to be interviewed for recognizing Paul Boscovich's service on the BILD Alberta's Board of Directors, I became ill. Something I ate the night before at the Calgary Stampede, or maybe it was the drinks. So instead, I am taping this on Mount Kilimanjaro, Tanzania. We are 2 days until we summit at 19,341 feet above sea level. I would like to express my personal thanks to Paul for serving on the BILD Alberta's Board of Directors. I know he is very committed and dedicated to not only this association, but to BILD Calgary and to the Canadian Home Builders Association, and generally to our land development and home building industry. Congratulations, Paul. and we'll see you soon.
Oh boy, that's quite the snapshot that they have provided for this industry champion. Now, please welcome your former team captain, Paul, to the stage to tell us what drove him during his time as captain.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Lee.
Not here.
I know he's not here. So, yeah, for those who don't know, Paul was elected in chair of October of 2020. This industry at that point was building at a pace not seen since before 2015. With that came a whole new set of challenges, not the least of which was obviously a pandemic, material shortages, labor shortages. But Paul was there leading us with a calm, intentional, steady guidance to put us forward through another unpredictable year. Paul has this kind of incredible ability to see the forest through the trees and be decisive in the midst of incredibly difficult situations. He's able to kind of dissect these really complex problems and cut to the heart of the issue with this unique blend of eloquent yet polite bluntness. There was really a never more important time for that skill than 2020 and 2021. I was able to rely, sometimes almost daily, on Paul's critical and strategic thinking to navigate some of the toughest professional decisions I've ever had to make. He's also a huge believer in collaboration and partnerships and has helped us really strengthen those bonds between the local associations and members from across the province over those 2 years and beyond. So Paul, before we present you with your commemorative team jersey, we'd love to hear your thoughts on your time as chair.
Wow, that was way more than I expected. So very, very cool. You know, I think before I say anything, like Laura, this event is amazing. That was amazing. Thank you so much. When you sign up for this gig, they don't tell you get two amazing assistants, Pam and Laura. Thank you so much, because there's a lot going on. I got my 3 beautiful children and my beautiful wife here, and we're running around doing our thing, and BILD's, you know, it's in the top 3, but it's there's a lot going on, and they help. You know, I didn't even bring this. I forgot it. So they had an extra one. So amazing. And thank you for, you know, inviting my family. It means a lot. I can't do it without your support. So thanks for supporting to my family, supporting my side gig. And it's over now. So, yeah, so my journey started in 2014. I got a call from a guy named Tally Hutchinson. And he said, you know, I got your number. I heard you're an up-and-comer. We'd love to have you on the CHBA Alberta board. And then he talked for like 40 minutes. So I didn't even have a chance to say no. And that's where I met Scott and Pam and Laura and a lot of great people in this room, and Ryan. And so it feels cliche to say it's been an honor and a privilege, but it really has. It's been an honor and a privilege to be the chair of BILD Alberta. Probably the chair nobody knew existed. I was kind of the sandwich COVID chair between Fraser, who kind of got out a little bit, and Patrick, that got out before we weren't allowed to go out. But anyway, the last few years have been a challenging time for many in the industry, good and bad, from a time where we weren't sure if there'd be anybody wanting to build a house to a time where we couldn't even meet demand. And helping build through this time has been rewarding, and you know, any contributions I've made have been reciprocated tenfold by the lessons I've learned by all the great leaders in our industry. And leadership matters, and it starts at the top. I know tonight's a lot about volunteerism, but I wanted to acknowledge somebody that gets paid. That's Scott Fash. I think Scott Fash is the biggest reason why our association is on solid footing, both financially and reputationally. And when I got involved the second time, I was in some meetings with Patrick, and we weren't there. And I think Scott's leadership really stems from his hard work and tenacity. advocacy work, things move slow. The market moves fast, but government moves slow, and it takes tenacity, it takes patience, and it takes perseverance. And quick wins are extremely rare. Although, like during COVID, not getting shut down, that happened quickly, so that was good. And that was a big deal for our industry, and that's when Patrick was the chair, but we were talking pretty much daily to try to keep this industry going. Volunteers, they come and go, as we've seen. We're going to have a few more presentations tonight, and BILD chairs come and go. And we're fortunate to have the stability of Scott and his team. And I look forward to seeing what we can accomplish in the coming years with his leadership. Thank you, Scott. It's been awesome. Since my journey started, in 2014, I've seen leadership in all shapes and sizes and styles. And Tally and Ryan and Wendy and Steve and Patrick provided me with amazing opportunities to learn from leaders and benefit firsthand from exposure to different ways of problem solving. And there's been no shortage of problems, and there's been no shortage of ways to address those problems. And so, for you guys that are in the room, thank you so much. I've learned so much, and it's really helped me personally move forward in my career and as a person. Thank you, Fraser. Fraser and I first started working together in Calgary with the BILD Calgary board when it was amalgamated, and I've witnessed firsthand your collaborative leadership style, and you're just a workhorse, man. You work really hard, and you are really passionate about what you're doing, and the responsibility of being BILD chair, you've stepped up, and it's been awesome to watch, and it's been a privilege to see you do it. So thank you for everything you've done the last year. You've poured everything into the role, and Drew has big shoes to fill. And maybe this isn't the right time, but Drew and I were talking last night. So I don't know if you know, but Drew's expecting his second child here in 3 weeks. And so we were talking about, very exciting, but awkward too, because, he plans to continue working this year in his day job. That pays the bills and diapers and all that. But BILD, he's going on paternity leave, and he was wondering how, as a one-year BILD chair, he's going to do a one-year paternity leave and just tell Scott. So, we can talk about that later with Ryan at the bar. We'll try to drink it dry. I know you will lead the organization with tenacity and energy, so good luck, Drew. You got an election to look forward to. You got a baby to look forward to. Some good stuff coming. Outgoing leaders like myself are often tired, and new leaders need to take up the fight. This is the amazing thing about BILD. It's a really next up association. And you can just look around the room to see all those that have come before. I believe we're in a better place today than when I started, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to contribute to that progression. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, Paul. Before you go, we will also present you with your jersey.
Oh, yeah. You even fit all the letters.
Yeah. It took some work. Okay, Kevin, I'll turn it back to you to tell us more about who's next on our amazing list of players.
Before we get to our outgoing captain for the 2022 season, we'd like to acknowledge our sponsor for tonight, and that is Federated Insurance. An evening like this takes a lot of commitment and a tremendous amount of support, and Federated has been there many years as a gold level sponsor, and this year is no exception. We'd also like to thank our product sponsor, Wheaties, where champions begin their day with a bowl of Wheaties. Celebrating 5 years in Canada, Wheaties now available in gluten-free. And now back to our program. This year's captain is no stranger to many. The former player never worked for General Mills, producers of Wheaties, but is no stranger to the food industry. At 25, when he became the Canadian sales manager at Burtman Cookies. This leader got the cookie brand listed into several of Canada's top retailers and made a big push on in-store promotions, helping to boost sales. He was later promoted to national sales manager. This player has always demonstrated his leadership qualities and is the first to admit he couldn't have done it alone, and gives enormous credit to his team for the support and motivation over the years. Preparedness is one of this player's strengths, and it can be found in every page of the captain's page playbook. A former New Home Warranty teammate, he traded teams and moved to Marsh, Canada, where he continues to contribute to industry and champions women in industry. This once basketball athlete now coaches his daughter's basketball team and changed positions on the BILD Alberta team yesterday during the AGM. In an industry where it's been an unexpected great year, the challenges don't stop. The buzzer beaters never stop this team. This player is always up for the challenge. Earlier this year, he led his team to a recent victory by picking up 2 awards for Marsh at the BILD Calgary Awards. We caught up with his work team to learn more about his championship ways.
Can you tell us what qualities make Fraser a great captain?
I think Fraser's best quality as a captain is that he knows everybody on the team, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and really puts them in a position to succeed.
You know, Fraser is such a people person. He's a really great connector. He's genuinely interested in people's lives, their backstories, their goals.
Fraser's a great teammate because he really focuses on the success of the overall team, as well as individual successes of his teammates. So really it's about that collective effort, and then showcasing individuals' abilities kind of up the ladder within Marsh or to our clients and prospects as well.
Well, Fraser's a great teammate because he really understands people. He has this way of making sure that everybody on his team, either direct or extended, feels really heard and appreciated. I've seen him support people when they were down and needed some help, and then cheer people on when they were inching closer to success.
No matter who you have on your team, if they're not playing in the right position or doing the right thing, you're not going to get the best out of the team as a whole. And Fraser is really good at recognizing what everybody likes, what everybody dislikes, and how everybody works together.
Would you say Fraser is more of a defensive player or a forward strategist?
I would say he's definitely a bit more of a forward strategist.
A forward-thinking person.
Fraser is an optimist. He is definitely a strategizer. He thinks ahead, he plans ahead, always thinking about how to achieve the next goal.
You've gotten to know Fraser. What does he like to do in the off-season?
The Fraser that I know doesn't really understand off-season. The Fraser I know is constantly thinking about what's next, the next big goal, the next big game, an exciting new challenge.
Yeah, so when Fraser actually has a bit of time, I think, outside of work and his industry involvement, he's very active there, so it doesn't leave him a lot of time. But when he does have some, he likes to spend it with his family, especially his daughters. They're very, very active in sports, basketball in particular.
Fraser is an avid cycler. He does it year round. In the winter, he rides in his basement on his trainer. And then during the rest of the year, he is road biking all the time.
Hey, Fraser, thanks so much for everything you do for us at Marsh and myself in particular. You've really helped grow my career. You've always been an advocate for me, so I appreciate everything you do for us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your outgoing team captain, Fraser DeWall, to the stage.
So I think one of the things I caught off of that was how Fraser's a people person, and anyone who spent any time with him knows that. I think it was one of the first events I had ever gone to when I initially joined kind of CHBA Alberta. And Fraser, didn't know me out of anybody, but came over, grabbed me, talked to me for probably 2 or 3 hours, took me around and introduced me to everybody in the room. No reason he needed to do that. I was certainly at that point by no means anybody important whatsoever, but that's just who Fraser is. Over this past year, I obviously got to know him a little bit more. And what I've found is Fraser's somebody, and even though he's not a builder, he's not a developer, a trade, or a renovator, and he'll tell you that right out of the gate. I don't know that I've ever met anyone who cares as immensely about this industry as him. I also don't know that I've ever met anybody who cares so much about the work, that cares so much about the people that he works with. And he demonstrates numerous leadership skills that I aspire to daily. He has this incredible ability to know and recognize when you may be stressed or overwhelmed, and then jumps in immediately to do whatever he can to help to fix it. So as previously mentioned, Fraser does like to spend some time road biking, and just last month, he did a ride through the Rockies, an event organized by Qualico, where he biked over 400 kilometers in 3 days and raised over $200,000 for Habitat for Humanity. So congratulations on such a noteworthy accomplishment, both on the bike and as chair of BILD Alberta. It is my pleasure to present this outgoing chair with this small gift of our appreciation.
Am I the last speaker of the night? Almost? Okay. So I realize that I am almost at the end here, and I'm the only one that stands between you guys in your beds or the bar, as Ryan so eloquently mentioned. So I'm just ask for you to bear with me for just a few minutes here. That was very special. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Laura and the team. And my team. Mitchell's not here. He had to actually head home this afternoon. His wife is expecting a child quite soon as well, and he was getting in some trouble, so he had to head home. So, got this all mixed up here. So, I attended this Jasper event for my first time, actually, back in 2014. So it's interesting you mentioned 2014. That's the first time I actually came here. So that year, for those of you that were here that year, I drove through the mountains for my first time. I was by myself, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was about 25, 30 degrees. And that whole weekend, it was beautiful here, unbelievable, the weather here. So I walked into this room for my first awards banquet, and I was hooked for good. I certainly did not think back in 2014 that 8 years later, I would be standing on this stage providing a speech about my time as chair of BILD Alberta. Never even entered my mind. I felt extremely honored to hold this role this past year, especially amongst a group of such talented and exceptional industry members. I've held this responsibility very high. Thank you for this trust that you've had in me. Also noting that, no, I'm not a builder and I'm not a developer. So I took this responsibility to heart. So I appreciate the trust you had in me. I'm not going to stand up here and bore you all bragging about what BILD Alberta accomplished this past year, but I will say that it has been a lot. You can see all those items in the regular newsletters. You heard it at the AGM yesterday, and you've heard it throughout other discussions throughout the weekend. I am proud of what the collective association has accomplished this year, and I'm thankful for the support of the membership. So first off, I will recognize the team at BILD Alberta: Scott, Lara, Pam, Sahib, Rochelle. If you guys can please stand up. I'd like everybody to give you and Lara, I know you put up with you all put up with a lot. but I did get you a little gift. So if you could come forward just for a second. So I know this is your favorite drink, so I went out and grabbed you a bottle of this. You put up with a lot. She puts up a lot. She puts up with a ton of text messages. Yesterday we were sitting out for lunch. It was me and Paul and Patrick. No, Drew. And she walks up. She's like, "You guys supposed to be anywhere?" And we're like, "Nope." She's like, "Anything in your calendars?" "Nope." We open up our calendars. All have calendar messages. We're supposed to be downstairs right now. So anyways, thank you so much, Laura, for all you do. Second, I'd like to thank our board of directors, and I'm going to ask you to stand as I call your name and remain standing until the entire board is listed. And there are a number of board members for various reasons that were unable to make it. I'm going to mention their names anyways. So just to start off, Dhruv Gupta, if you could stand. Chris Plose, you don't have to applaud until the end. Chris Plose is not here. Sandra Young. Scott Pravitz is here. He's not from, he's actually from Grand Prairie. He's not from Fort McMurray. Where is Scott? Is he around? Oh, he's at the bar. Okay. Paul Boscovich, please stand. Marissa Coop. Susan Keating is here. Stand up, Susan. Mark Winker is here. Tyler Hansen, Sydney Bond, James Robertson, Jackie Taylor, Dave Kunst, and Steve Audie. So thank you for standing. Everybody can give them applause. I'm grateful to have had an opportunity to serve as chair of this board with such an awesome group of people. I also want to mention, and this is not, a couple people were awarded earlier, but sometimes not mentioned as much as the chair and the rest of the board of directors, but the unbelievable amount of volunteers and volunteer hours that are put in behind the scenes. Some of these people don't get recognized as much. It's unbelievable what some of these people do, and the association, it's critical to the association that you're a part of it. So thank you to those people as well. Although there are a lot of people that are very special to me here this weekend, the most special is my wife and my 4 daughters, Teresa, Haley, Nora, Juliana, and Sarah, who are all here tonight. Very special that you guys are here. I won't make you stand. I had that in my notes, but I won't make you stand. My wife is here because she's the reason why I am where I am today. I cannot do the work that I do, or the hours that I do, or the travel that I do without her. She is an extraordinary woman. My 4 daughters are here because I wanted to prove to them that my full-time job is not just going for lunches and responding to text messages 24/7. See, girls, I actually do something. You all mean the world to me. I'd also like to recognize 3 extremely important members of my team. These 3 are, well, 2 of them are here. Mitchell had to go home. They're 3 of incredible talent at Marsh. And they mean a lot to me. And I have team members across the country in different offices across Canada, in Toronto and in Vancouver. And these 3 here that are actually based in this province, I would say are extraordinary people and care deeply about our clients. They care about the business, and they care about our industry and what we do. And so that's Colin Hassick, who is here, who you saw in the video, and Stephanie Kuntz and Mitchell Taylor, who had to leave. But thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. So there are a lot of things that make this industry special. There's the history of the entrepreneurialism. There's philanthropy and giving back to our communities. There's a constant commitment to innovation. And there is an incredible will and fight to succeed no matter what the challenge is. But I will say that what is most special about this industry, in my opinion, is the people. I joined this industry about 10 years ago. As you heard, prior to this, I was in the consumer goods industry. And I was welcomed with open arms into this industry. I attended the association events and started my volunteering on the CHBA Calgary Marketing Committee. What was particularly special during those years was the group of industry leaders, presidents, owners, and extremely successful business people that welcomed me in with open arms. People that made time for me and helped me and had really no reason to do that. And I'm going to mention some of them today. So breakfast I used to go with, and still do, with Cal and Shane Wenzel. And it was really cool that Kate was on that video. Vodka martinis with Carol Uxteby. She's not here. I think a lot of people in here know her. She's recovering from cancer surgery. She's doing exceptionally well. Apparently is cancer-free. I text with her regularly. So she's an amazing woman to this industry. Next one is tequilas at Ryan Scott's office. Not during work hours, right, Ryan? Never during work hours. Old fashions with Howard C. I've spent a lot of time with Howard C., including 5 or 6 hours today on the golf course. Is Howard here right now? Yeah, there he is. Thank you so much, Howard. I also have listed here scotches with Dave Hoagie. Dave Hoagie over here. Hot chocolates, because he doesn't drink at all, with Ryan Oakey. You know, Ryan Oakey was one of those people, and I don't think he comes to this event very often, but I went to one of those mentor dinners or events that they used to do at CHBA Calgary, and he was at the mentor table, and after that, we started doing coffees together, and he had no reason to spend any time with me, but he did. Breakfast with Wendy J. Bush, regular talks and mentoring from Alan Klassen, debates with Steph Amundsen, and ongoing advice from Paul Boscovich. This is a small sampling of industry member names that have had a profound effect on me and my career. Miles as well is here today, and he's now the chair of CHBA National. Miles actually initially voluntold me to be the industry representative for the marketing committee at CHBA National, probably about, 8 or 9 years ago or something. But the most Miles has taught me actually occurred at the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas. I will let Miles share those stories with you. These people and the people in this room make our industry special and drive our industry to succeed. The people of this industry are the ones that take our future challenges head on and work through them. Rising costs, interest rates, red tape, labor shortages, building code changes. We are ready to tackle it all with our people through this amazing vehicle that we have, BILD Alberta. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your evening.
Hey, this just in, a deal was struck yesterday. It appears that Dhruv Gupta has just been traded to this year's BILD Alberta team and will be its captain for the 2022-23 season. You heard it here first, sports fans. As we go live to the main stage for an exclusive interview, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your BILD Alberta chair, Dhruv Gupta.
So Fraser put me on the spot here because he said he was going to be last, but I'm last, so sorry guys. But based on what Ryan said, I'll keep this very short because I think we need to do his goal through leadership. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dhruv Gupta. I'm the new chair of BILD Alberta, and it's an honor that I don't take lightly. If you look at those previous names that were on the list, it's kind of a who's who of our industry between our current organization and our predecessor organizations. Names like Jay Westman, Avi Amir, Cal Wenzel, Ralph Young, Tally, and Ralph Hutchinson. So those are names that I look up to, both personally and as a business person. So it's a humbling honor, and I'm going to try to serve the organization well. For those of you who don't know me, I have a legal background as well. So one of the things that I'm trying to, that I want to work with the organization on and with the Law Society of Alberta is try to make some changes toward our land title system, which is obviously broken. So that's one of my goals for the year. It's obviously been an interesting couple of years serving on the board through COVID and all that kind of thing, and we've gotten past that, but the last couple of weeks have also been very interesting. With the forest fires here, you may or not know this, but Scott and Lara have been working very hard with the Jasper National Park and Tourism Jasper to make sure this happened. They worked to get a professional letter put out in that email that came out, and they're working tireless hours to make this thing happen. So please give them another round of applause. I don't have any cool stories like hot chocolate or vodka martinis or tequila. Things are more boring in Edmonton. But so it's, you know, so I wish I could share some stories like that, but maybe that'll be a bit later. But over the last couple of years, I've gotten to know Fraser and Paul quite well over our work on the board, and I really appreciate the time we've spent together. When Paul asked me to be on this board, it wasn't a voluntold situation, but I was surprised. I was driving back from Calgary, and he said, "I would like you to be the second vice chair." And I said, "Can I think about it?" And I thought about it for 10 seconds and said, "Yeah." So thank you a lot for that, Paul. Like it means a lot, and obviously an industry leader yourself, and to ask me to serve that way was something that I won't forget. Another thing is I get to do a lot of this because of my brother. Some of you may know him. He's around. His name is Hirsch. I think he's the all-star of this weekend at the bar with Ryan. But when I'm working, and you know, Sue Keating always says to me, she's like, "Drew, you're everywhere." I'm like, that I can be everywhere because I have a great business partner, leader who actually runs the company. I don't have to deal with the day-to-day, and that's because of him. So the last few days have been a great celebration of our industry, starting with the welcome reception, which turned out to be great. I don't know how many attendees we had here, 400? 400, which is great because we didn't know what was going to happen after COVID, right? And everybody's here. People are still here to the end. Our AGM was one of the most well-attended, which speaks to our industry. People care. They're not just here to drink, which is important, right? And we're an industry that the second largest employer in our province by revenue. So that's things that we have to care about. So thank you, and everyone have a wonderful evening, and we'll see each other in the bar.
Okay, so I hope everybody enjoyed hearing from our current and past chairs. I do want to provide another last shout out to an individual who helped put that video together. Not only is he the former chair of our land development committee, but he's also incredibly talented at putting together the videos and the one that you just saw. So please give everybody a round of applause to Brad Armstrong from Qualico. I don't think everybody knew he had that skill, but he does. We have one more group we do want to acknowledge, and we couldn't have done it without, and that, you know, Paul, Patrick, Fraser, and that is your families, and I know that you've all three of you've touched on it, and you know, one thing I think each of these three individuals share is how proud they are of their wives and children. When we aren't talking about the industry or the association, they're telling me about you. They're talking about the sports you play, the things you do, and it's incredibly inspiring to hear on a regular basis. So I do want to thank you because I know I take their time away from you, and I really appreciate you being willing to do that and on our behalf. So thank you very much to all three of your families. I promise we're getting near the end, okay? But before we conclude tonight's program and draw close to this year's conference, I would like to remind everybody that tomorrow's breakfast is a grab and go. There is no formal program. Simply make your way to this room to pick up your breakfast and check the winner's table to see if you've won a prize at either the golf tournament or through the exhibitor hall. Our staff will have a list of winners tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'd like to take one last opportunity to thank all of our sponsors. We wouldn't be able to put on this event without your amazing support. So it's been an absolute pleasure seeing so many familiar faces and meeting plenty of new ones over the past few days. We hope that your time in Jasper was filled with information that inspired and provoked discussions and fostered new connections. On behalf of BILD Alberta, thank you for attending the 2022 Building and Future Conference. We look forward to seeing you in Banff next September. So please join us in the Great Hall to congratulate all of our volunteers and wrap up this year's conference. Have a great night.
Fraser.
Teresa, can you get a picture of us?